listening to 40 Weeks, a production of the Pregnancy Podcast with Vanessa Merton. Visit pregnancypodcast.com/week for all of the 40 Weeks resources and sign up with your due date to get each episode delivered to your inbox when you start a new week of your pregnancy. Thank you for tuning in to the 40 Weeks podcast. Welcome to week 21 and the second half of your pregnancy. Just 19 weeks to go. You can see a picture of what your baby looks like this week, read the transcript, and access the additional resources at pregnancypodcast.com/week21. Your little sweet potato is growing to about the size of a banana this week. Your baby measures 10.8 inches or 27.4 centimeters and weighs 14.1 ounces or 399 grams. Your baby's eyebrows and eyelids are present now. If you're having a girl, her vagina has begun to form. Although your baby moves around a lot, they also sleep around 12 to 14 hours a day. Now that their digestive system is maturing, they can swallow amniotic fluid, which is going to help them put on some weight. Also, all of that swallowing is prepping their digestive system for after birth. This week, taste buds have also developed. The taste of your amniotic fluid is going to differ daily depending on what you eat. There's research that shows that babies that were exposed to taste in utero via the amniotic fluid were more likely to enjoy those flavors when they were exposed to them in solid foods later. Your uterus is continuing to rise, and if you feel around for it, you should be able to find the top of it about 1/2 of an inch above your belly button this week. Your body is working hard and is circulating about 45% more blood and fluid than before you were pregnant. Pregnancy can be a time of additional stress. You're experiencing a lot of physical changes. You're preparing for birth and preparing for a new baby. In a sense, everything that you expose yourself to during pregnancy can also affect your baby, and stress is no exception. Physiological changes can impact your baby. Stress that puts you at a higher risk for some complications can affect your baby's health and development. How you and your baby are affected by stress in the short and long term is essentially a function of your stress response and your ability to turn it off. The good news is that understanding your stress response and learning about evidence-based tools to manage stress can minimize the adverse effects. You can learn more on the Pregnancy Podcast episode on stress and pregnancy at pregnancypodcast.com/stress. As you get into the second half of your pregnancy, you should start thinking about your birth plan. Your birth plan is how you envision your birth and what happens directly following the birth of your baby. This is so much more than a piece of paper that you're going to hand to your doctor or midwife. This is the foundation for preparing for the scenario in which everything goes as planned and for what should happen if things do not. The value of a birth plan has so much more to do with the process of creating it than it does with the finished product. You've already started creating your birth plan the minute that you began learning about labor and birth. Over the next 19 weeks, you can craft that plan as you learn more about your options. The Pregnancy Podcast has several resources to help you create your birth plan. You can get a free copy of my birth plan. There's a full episode with a guide to creating your birth plan, and there's also the Your Birth Plan book. I will link to all of those resources in the transcript for this week. A tip for dads and partners this week: expecting moms all feel differently about their growing bodies during pregnancy. And if they're not loving all of the changes, be sure to remind them that these physical changes are temporary. Thank you for tuning in to the 40 Weeks podcast. You can see the full transcript and all of the resources for this episode at pregnancypodcast.com/week21. Next week, your baby is exploring, touching, and grasping the umbilical cord. Until then, I wish you the very best in your pregnancy journey.